We're comparing two amazing Louis Vuitton fragrances today, Ombré Nomade and Nouveau Monde. These two can be quite similar, especially when you first smell them for the first time, but we're going to dive into the differences and find out which one you would prefer. Starting off with Ombré Nomade, probably the most famous out of these two, definitely the most famous out of these two. This opens up with a strong but not overwhelming oud note. The oud is not going to be too challenging, not on its own anyway, and not too overwhelming. You've also got incense, which gives a smokiness, a kind of leathery, smoky quality. That's what I get. And also raspberry. Raspberry is going to be very important in this because with those other two notes, it's going to be quite dry and maybe not as easy to wear. So with the raspberry, you get a subtle sweetness, which is really important when balancing those other notes. Now, the other notes that we should mention that are important, I think, are rose, saffron, and a leathery slash ambery base. I can't tell if it's leather or amber or a mix of both, but it's kind of a leathery, ambery, smoky base. That's what I get from it. But this stuff is really incredible. If you've heard some good things about this, I'm going to also add to that, and I'm not going to give you any negative thoughts on Ombré Nomade. I think it's an incredible fragrance. It really fills you with confidence. It's one of those fragrances that you spray on, and if you're wearing the right kind of clothing, it just automatically fills you with confidence. Now, when I say, are you wearing the right clothing, I wouldn't wear this casually. So if I'm just chilling around the house and I'm wearing loungewear, for example, then wearing this is not going to have the desired effect. Maybe you can wear it for yourself if you love the smell, no problem. But if you're going out somewhere and you're wearing just maybe, I don't know, gym shorts and a t-shirt, it's not going to suit that. It's not, and at least to me, it's not going to suit that. This is a fragrance to wear when you want to impress and you want to be noticed, and you will be noticed because of how strong and confident this is. But one thing I do love about Ombré Nomade, and it's kind of, it goes with some other fragrances that I've spoken about before, in fragrances that give you confidence, and perhaps I'll do a video on this in the future, but it is one of those fragrances you spray on and you will get, or you will feel confident from it. One notable thing I've noticed with Ombré Nomade is how well balanced everything is. Nothing seems to be overwhelming. So you've got some really powerful notes in here. You've got oud, you've got saffron, you've got leather potentially. You've got rose, and nothing is overpowering on its own. There's nothing that you go, oh, that's a bit too strong. That I wish it was toned down a bit, or I wish this was amped up a bit more. It's kind of just really well balanced and really well blended to a point where it just smells perfect. That blend, if you could put all those notes together and come up with the kind of perfect fragrance, I think Ombré Nomade is it. On my skin, in terms of how much it changes, some fragrances really change as they develop. This doesn't really. It stays pretty linear throughout. It smells very similar in the opening. It smells very similar in the first 5 minutes as it does do in the last hour of it, which is not a bad thing. When it smells like this, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to get bored of it. People that smell it on you will just freeze because it smells that good. And so it's not a fragrance that kind of would get boring or needs to change at all. When I smell this, I think of someone like Tom Hardy. I think of someone like a bearded, rugged, muscular man. It's kind of like, it's got that vibe about it. It's not like a well-refined gentleman. At least that's not how I would define it. It smells like a man's man. It smells like someone who's strong, confident, got their life together, and someone who has this aura about them, a really confident, charming yet strong person. That is the feeling I get when I smell Ombré Nomade. We will touch on performance very quickly. It is a beast mode. It doesn't need to be any stronger than it is. It lasts a very long time on my skin. It projects well for hours and will last forever on clothes. Not forever. It will last till you wash them. And in terms of how long it lasts on my skin, I haven't actually managed to track the longevity because most of the time you need to shower before it wears off. Okay, moving on to Nouveau Monde. If I'm not pronouncing that correctly, do let me know, but I believe it means new world in French. So this opens up in a fairly similar way with oud and saffron. So when you first spray this on, you do get a reminder that it is maybe a brother, an older brother or a younger brother of Ombré Nomade. It's definitely from the same house, and I get that straight away from smelling it. That's why I'm doing the comparison. You've also got, so you've got oud saffron, and you've also got a cocoa note. The cocoa note is really important in this opening because it's going to add a kind of gourmand touch, maybe a sort of spicy nuance, but it's not going to be so dry and so harsh if it was just oud and saffron. That cocoa note gives a kind of a semi-sweetness like the raspberry does in Ombré Nomade, but it's a different smell. This also has patchouli and rose. You haven't got patchouli in Ombré Nomade, but you do have a strong patchouli note in this, along with the rose, which is also in Ombré Nomade. As I mentioned a minute ago, you do not have raspberry for the sweetness, but you have cocoa in the opening. And in the sort of in the heart and the base, you've got either something like vanilla or caramel. I'm not quite sure. I can't tell which one it is, but it's a definite kind of sweetness in the base, which is really nice. And you've also got a blackcurrant note, which adds a fruitiness. But for me, it's not strong. It's not a strong blackcurrant note. It just kind of, you can smell it in the background. But I think it smells more like a sort of caramel note. That's what I get anyway. And it adds a really nice sweetness to the base of this. So the main difference is, what I can see between these two, is that this is quite a lot sweeter to Ombré Nomade. Nouveau Monde is a lot sweeter than Ombré Nomade. Ombré Nomade has raspberry. This has the vanilla type note. This has caramel, and it is a lot sweeter. And in terms of performance, I don't think this is as strong. It does last a long time on your skin, but it doesn't project anywhere near as much as Ombré Nomade, at least in my experience. And I think that's a good thing. If you had two fragrances from the same house that smelt fairly similar, and they projected and performed the same, I don't know if it would be worth owning both, but you could wear this to completely different occasions. Whereas I would never wear this on a date night or to a place where I'm in close proximity with people. I would this would actually make a really good date night fragrance, or if you're wearing this to an office meeting or something where you want to smell really fucking good, but not kind of smell the whole room out. That is where this works really well. Whereas this would work better for a night out with the boys, or if you're going to an outdoor party, for example. They are two fairly similar fragrances, but you can wear them to different occasions. One thing I wanted to touch on is how similar these are, or at least how similar I thought they were. In the opening, I just thought these, and when I first tried this, I thought it was very similar to Ombré Nomade. But as you go down, and I did the research for this video, and you smell them all for hours and you get to know everything, you do get the differences. So I understand if people say they smell very similar, but there are quite a few differences there that we've touched on. To sum it up as quickly as possible and as straightforward as possible, Ombré Nomade is going to be for a rugged gentleman and someone who wants to smell powerful and confident and wants to be smelt before they're seen. It's a confident fragrance, and you are going to smell and you are going to feel confident wearing it. Whereas Nouveau Monde is more subtle. It's not a subtle, weak fragrance by any means. It's still a really good performing fragrance, but it needs to be found more than Ombré Nomade did. As I said, this would make a really good date night fragrance, and it does help that this has a lot of added sweetness in there. So I think Ombré Nomade is a perfect fragrance for someone who wants Ombré Nomade without the beast mode performance. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something from it. Let me know in the comments, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer to go for Ombré Nomade or Nouveau Monde? Have you tried any of these? And if you had to try one, which one would you try based on my description? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a few days. Take care.